What is up, ladies and gentlemen? As you can see, I've got a different mic stand here. Thank you for joining. I am Tyler Clemmons, your host of the Clemmontime podcast. We'll see how I did in this Week 7 slate of games because I was a little nervous that I wouldn't be doing so hot because I got absolutely screwed in some of these picks. And it happens every week. It's any given Sunday. And that's because any given Sunday, somebody could show up that you're not ready for. And this is what happens on a Thursday night as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Week 7's first game, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. So, of course, Pittsburgh goes in a -5.5 favorite in this game. I was all in on Pittsburgh. Why wouldn't you be? Why would you want to go with Joe Flacco on his second game in 10 days and pick him to cover a 5.5 point spread, or even to win the game in that case? Well, Cincinnati had all of the intentions to win that game, and they did. Pittsburgh played their ass off as well. Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a game. Hell, even got tackled by his own teammate after throwing an amazing touchdown pass, which he still got it. He still got it. Aaron Rodgers, 23 of 34, 249, 7.3 yard average, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The one interception's not on him. That is on DK. You cannot be that big and not be able to catch the ball from a DB. He took the ball away from you like a little kid. Like you just didn't want the ball. How does that happen? You are a physical specimen. He must have just wanted it more than you in this case. And that is kind of the story of the game. The Bengals just punched the Steelers right in the mouth. Jamar Chase has an insane 16-catch game, and he could have had 17. He had a terrible drop that even Joe Flacco about lost his shit on. Joe Flacco is that dude, but Freiermuth has a game for the Steelers, 5 catches, 111 yards. Metcalf only with 3 catches. He had 5 targets, and like I said, he should have had a 4th catch that just got taken from his hands. Just took it right out. And Joe Flacco comes in 31 of 47, 342, 3 touchdowns. And I didn't mention this, but both teams had an amazing running game. They both had the ball on the ground moving at will. And neither team had a strong running game coming into this. That was the talk of both teams, is that neither can run the ball. Let's see if that gets going tonight. And, well, it did. Chase Brown, 11 carries for 108 yards. What is going on? Jalen Warren, 16 carries, 127 yards. So one person's averaging 7.9, the other's averaging 9.8. That is insane yardage per carry. And yet both quarterbacks had a hell of a game. And if you have both of these guys in your fantasy league, which some people had Aaron Rodgers, most people probably didn't have Joe Flacco unless you had a quarterback on a bye week and you really needed to pick somebody up. And that's who you would have went and gotten, more than likely. Because if you're in 12-team fantasy leagues, you don't have much to pick from. But if you are in some 8-team fantasy leagues, you have some options to pick from, which that's very fortunate. Very fortunate, especially in a 8-team league. 10, still a little bit more than 12, but you'll understand, especially depending on how the roster is formatted, playing 2 quarterbacks, playing 1, how many flex positions, different things like that play out as well. But Bengals beat the Steelers 33-31, and it was a great game. That was a really good Thursday night game, and most people, like I did, anticipated that the Steelers were just going to handle business, and they did not. The Bengals handled business and got things done. We're going to go ahead and move on to the first Sunday game, 9:30, Rams at Jacksonville. Oh, by the way, I lost that. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, -5.5. Jeez. Way to start off your week. Regardless, Rams at Jacksonville. I've talked about Trevor Lawrence just not being very consistent and proving to me that he's a guy that you can trust back there. And it happened again. He got sacked 7 times in this game, and he just does not look comfortable. When he gets flustered, he can't complete easy passes because his feet aren't set. I mean, unfortunately, it sounds like Tua, but he is just, let me say this. Oddly enough, Trevor Lawrence is not a guy that can throw good footballs off balance like maybe a Patrick Mahomes. Heck, even Justin Herbert can throw a little bit better on the move than Trevor Lawrence can, which is crazy because Trevor Lawrence is a fairly good runner. But Trevor Lawrence is a guy that unfortunately has to be able to set up in the pocket and throw the ball, and you can get him flustered. You would think by now Trevor Lawrence should have a little bit something to him, but nothing about him when he's playing the game, and I'm sure that people can attest to this. I don't feel like he's got a wow factor. Very odd to say, though. And he's not even top 15, but he's a pretty solid quarterback. If you had him on your team, you would be happy. You would think, hey, I can work with this guy. I can work with him. We can win games. But he's not doing anything to help you. He's not. Plays there to be made. Receivers dropping footballs. And that's a contributing factor for this Jaguars team. You have an elite receiver in Brian Thomas. You have Travis Hunter. You have Parker Washington, who's really starting to come on. But there's no plays just designed to get these guys open. If they do, they're dropping these passes. I mean, too many drops. Even Jamar Chase, who's a really good, the best receiver in the game, in my opinion, he has bad drops too. But he always comes back. Brian Thomas, I think he starts to lose a little bit of confidence. And the more you come to him, it feels like the more pressure is on him. And he does have good games, but they're not these breakout games that you would anticipate. Like Malik Neighbors is same category. Really, really, really good receiver. Could be a top 5 receiver. Has these weird drops. But the Rams and Matthew Stafford, 5 touchdown passes by Stafford in London. And something about the Los Angeles Rams leaving really late to go to London, which I guess most people try to spend a week there before the game. Minimal time spent there seemed to be beneficial. Who knows? Maybe they're breaking scientific, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean. But scientifically, they would imagine your body would have more time to adapt, you'd feel better, play better if you spend more time over there. Maybe they're thinking otherwise. Rams 35, Jacksonville 7, and no receiver for the Rams, just absolutely torched it because Stafford only threw for 182 yards. But he threw 5 touchdown passes and he wasn't sacked. But Devontae Adams, one of the best route runners, and he could be a best receiver. He's getting a little up there in age too, so he doesn't have that, oh man, Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams from 4 years ago, you got problems out there. But he would technically be your number 1 receiver without Puka Nacua. But what I don't understand is Tutu Atwell. He's not even on here for a target. I don't understand how that happens. I mean, he's the guy when your starters are going down, he comes right into this Rams offense and he makes plays. Every time you saw him in there and he's made plays, it's not been all the time. But when he does get in there, he makes plays. I picked Rams minus 3.5. I cashed in on that one, so that was nice to have. Jacksonville just does not look good at all. I mean, absolutely terrible. It was a shutout most of the game. An absolute shutout. Up until the fourth quarter, I believe it was 35-0, 28-0. Actually, I can tell you exactly what it was. It was 28-0 with 11:11 left in the fourth quarter. 2 minutes later, Jacksonville puts up their first points of the game. And then Matthew Stafford then goes to deliver a ball to Devontae Adams. So the Rams are on a heater. With Stafford back there, he's an ageless wonder. Most people are a little worried about his back because of his age. No need to worry. Matthew Stafford's okay. He's been healed by the football gods. Minus 3.5. Go Rams. All right, New Orleans at Chicago. So this was a minus 4.5 pick for me. Chicago wins 26-14. The New Orleans Saints are just not a good team. What Kellen Moore is doing with Spencer Rattler at quarterback is really impressive. He's been very efficient, but he's not doing anything to win you a football game at all. Once again, 20 of 32, 233, 2 touchdowns. He did have 3 interceptions. And that's against a very good Bears defense. That's what people have to understand. The Bears are going to be a lot better than anticipated. Most people don't like Caleb Williams. They don't like his fingernail painting. They don't like a lot of things about him. Who cares? I don't. All I know is that Caleb Williams can play ball, And this Bears team has always had a good defense the last probably 3 to 4 years, but they've just not had an offense. And when you had Justin Fields at quarterback, that limits you. And if you don't believe it now, the Jets just benched him. So we'll talk a little bit about this Jets quarterback here in a moment. But the Chicago Bears just played an excellent game. The Saints had no running game, had 44 yards on the ground, 4 sacks on Spencer Rattler. Olave is their best receiver. Juwan Johnson, their best tight end. 5 catches, 98 for Olave. Juwan Johnson had 5 for 79. So their guys are getting targets and are getting catches. Both of them 7 targets, 5 catches each. But the one, Rashid Shaheen, 4 catches, 40 yards on 9 targets. So to me, he's probably been getting targeted deep. I didn't watch the highlights on this one. I usually watch as many games as I can myself, so it's usually 5 to 6 full games. And then I'm typically watching highlights, reading articles, things like that to kind of gather what's happening in all these games, because who can watch all these games? Unless you have all 15 TVs. Unless you have multiple tablets with YouTube and Sunday Ticket. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot. But the Bears are going to be something to worry about. I really think so. Caleb Williams, very efficient, 15 of 26, 172. Now, he did throw an interception, but he only got sacked 1 time, and the running game was phenomenal for the Bears. 40 carries for 222 yards. And a 26-14 victory for the Bears. So a good running game. Caleb Williams will get a little bit more efficient. I mean, not that was terrible, but hey, it won you the game. And I always talk about how sometimes you just can't lose the game for your team. But you also need to be able to try to win games. And Caleb Williams has the potential to do that. And we're seeing Ben Johnson get the most of that right now. Chicago Bears 26, Saints 14. I went -4.5. 2-1 now. All right, let's go ahead and move on to my sorry-ass Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. So I went Miami +2.5 on this. The reason why I went +2.5 with Miami was anticipating that somehow they would show up on defense, knowing that the Browns are probably going to run the ball, mainly because you can't throw in this freaking weather, and they can't stop shit. Not a damn thing. You get stupid penalties that allow drives to extend. You don't do anything offensively to get Jalen Waddle, your number 1 receiver right now, involved. You don't do any of that. You throw these dumb screens over to the left, over to the right, and right now, I think the football gods have completely took Tua's arm strength away from him. Just completely took it away. He has absolutely nothing on any of his passes. From 2-3 years ago where he was throwing deep balls, and it was good because it was on time, even though Tyreek had to slow down. And then he would throw them a little bit earlier, and then they would just look like the perfect ball being thrown. But in reality, they're really these 40 to 45-yard balls hit in stride that look like deep balls because they end up being 60, 70-yard plays. Well, the problem now is guys don't get open right away. And if you're running short routes, everybody's sitting on it. And Tua doesn't have the arm strength to throw this ball downfield and fit it in a window. He has to anticipate it. He can't see it and throw it. He has to see the window and anticipate throwing it. He cannot afford to be a half second late because he doesn't have the arm strength to make up for it. And it is now becoming a factor. When you could design plays that confuse defenses, then you knew what you had to look at to make a read off of, and there you go, easy. But now teams aren't doing that. They figured out your tendencies, and you haven't changed anything that you're doing. And if you tell me you have, what is it? What is it? What has changed? Hell, you called the same plays basically when Quinn Ewers came in for his first drive, and he almost threw a pick because the defenses saw the same exact shit over and over and over, and so is everybody else in the league. Dylan Gabriel didn't have to do anything at all. Nothing. I wasn't even worried about Dylan Gabriel in this game. At all. I was not afraid that he was going to throw for many yards because the weather was crap. 13 of 18, 116 yards. That was Dylan Gabriel's stats. Tua, on the other hand, 12 of 23, 100 yards, 3 interceptions. I don't know. I don't know what is wrong with Tua. As of right now, it feels like complete robbery. The fact that he got paid and he's not even close to living up to that pay that he's getting right now. Not even remotely close. And then you have a weird situation where Zach Williams is your bench quarterback or your second string quarterback, and Quinn Ewers has been your emergency quarterback every single game this year. And then surprisingly, going into the game, Quinn Ewers is number 2. And Zach Wilson's the backup. How the hell did we get to that all of a sudden? You felt like Quinn Ewers gave you the best chance this week if he had to come in there in this game plan. I can't even wrap my head around that thought process. How the hell are you still having a quarterback competition this far into the season? And if the fact that Zach Wilson didn't impress you in training camp, why the hell has he been number 2 all week? And is that why you wouldn't throw him in there when Tua struggled? Because he's not comfortable in the offense? It makes no sense. Typical Dolphin bullshit. Over and over and over and over. And unfortunately, I've lived that for the 25 years that I can honestly say I've been a fan. 25 years. I can vividly remember the Jay Fiedler era. Right after Dan Marino. I remember 1 or 2 games from Dan Marino being a kid. But nothing like I remember Fiedler and everything else after that. Wow. Just need a complete fire sale in Miami. Nothing you can absolutely do right now to fix this because the culture is screwed up. You need to get rid of the general manager, which, in my opinion, I've heard this, so it's kind of an accumulated opinions, making my opinion. Because of this whole Brian Flores thing, I don't think they can get rid of Chris Grier. I think there's something involved with Chris Grier and the whole Brian Flores process of, trying to get him to tank and lose games. I think there's something involved with this. And if he was to lose his job, there might be something that Grier knows that could affect something. I don't know. It's just a typical, I'm drawing a complete blank on this. Speculation. Nothing factual, just speculation from what I've heard. Anyways, 31-6, Dolphins get their ass kicked, which at this point, hey, let's see what you got. Cleveland did exactly what they needed to. Made their defense look like a top 5 defense. I kid you not. Lost my ass on that one, of course. Going to move on to New England at Tennessee. 31-13. New England just puts it on Tennessee. And the game went exactly how I anticipated it. Tennessee came out hot. They looked pretty good, made it competitive. And then New England just took over. Their defense got me 24 points in fantasy, which is absolutely phenomenal. Hell, if you get 10 points from your defense, that's pretty damn good because you start with 10. I didn't want to get into the stats for the Dolphins. It's so abysmal. So completely abysmal. I mean, Dolphins had more total yards, but it doesn't make sense. As you can tell, I'm an optimistic Dolphins fan. Just always hopeful that good things are going to happen, but that is not the case. In the end, I know that things aren't going to be good. All right, we have to talk about this guy that has just been lighting the AFC East on fire. They're the number 1 team in the division, New England Patriots. Drake May, with Josh McDaniel, is starting to become one of the top quarterbacks in this league. Top young quarterback, too, because he's in his second year and he's not having a sophomore slump. He's taking a step up. 21-23, 222, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times, though, but no turnovers, which is really, really good. But 9.7 yards of completion. That is absolutely incredible. Very efficient. The running game was there, too. 36 carries for 175 yards. There is a lot going on in that running game. Ramondre Stevenson, who's had a kind of an up and down year because of the fumbling and different things like that. You would think that he might start losing some carries, and he has. He's getting them right back. Sometimes you just cannot give up on your running back. You got to continue to give them touches and let them know that you believe in them, and that'll take you a long ways. Patriots everything's rolling right now for the Patriots. Very efficient offensively. Josh McDaniels has got the running game and passing game going, and you can't stop that. I think Cam Ward did have his best game efficiency-wise, but, man, he's taken another 5 sacks. These sacks are just absolutely killing Cam Ward, and if he continues to take these sacks, it's going to shorten his career up. And I really like Cam Ward, and I do not want to see him have a short career because of the fact that he's got a poor offensive line play. Titans had absolutely no running game, so they may have simplified it for them offensively, but they completely took the running game away. There was no running game. I don't know how you expect to win. A lot of dump-offs to Tony Pollard, 6 catches, 43 yards. He was the leading pass catcher. Leading in yardage was Shamir Dyke with 4 catches for 70 yards and 1 touchdown. So not as many turnovers for Ward, but he did still get sacked 5 times, which they absolutely took advantage of that. Oh, he did turn the ball over. He fumbled it. And that was on the weird handling of the ball where it keeps slipping out of his hands. And he just says he needs to hold the ball tighter, which super infuriating because if you know that, why aren't you holding the ball tighter? It's not the first time this has happened to you now. Are you going to start being Teddy Two Gloves and wear 2 gloves out there all the time? You're going to be Kenny Pickett? It's okay if you are, as long as you don't turn the ball over. Okay? Kurt Warner didn't start wearing gloves, but he ended up wearing gloves. And hell, he was a hell of a quarterback for the Cardinals in the time he was. So there's nothing wrong with that. But the Patriots just put it on the Tennessee Titans, 31-13. And this next game, there's not going to be much to talk about. I'm pretty much just going to talk about Kansas City because this sorry-ass Las Vegas Raiders team panned out to be exactly the reason why I picked Tennessee as the biggest spread of the week at minus 10.5. Completely pathetic Las Vegas Raiders. I feel very sorry for Raiders fans because I even thought you can just go back and watch the other episodes. The ones that you can hear, that is. Probably like the first 6 or 7. Probably first 6. Probably not so much. Maybe the first 5. I can't remember at this point. It feels like so long ago. But the Las Vegas Raiders. Got cotton mouth. Only certain people know why. Las Vegas Raiders, 0 points. You heard that right. And it's not into the first quarter right now, second quarter, third quarter. The game didn't get stopped at any point in time. This is a complete game by the Las Vegas Raiders. I still can't believe these stats right now. 31-0. Geno Smith, 10 of 16 for 67 yards. 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 1 sack. Genty carried it 6 times for 21 yards. 11 carries for 25 yards total. What is going on? Did the Kansas City Chiefs just get that much better because Rashee Rice came back? Did the whole team morale just completely take off? Let's go over here to the team stats real quick and tell you first downs for the game. If anybody could guess how many the Raiders had. Raiders had 3 first downs for an entire NFL game. 3 first downs. I don't know what the game plan was. I don't know what they were thinking. If you see me looking over here, that's because I got this new mic stand, and I'm trying to see where this mic looks now when I'm lined up with it. There we go. I think I figured out the best spot for it. So the Kansas City Chiefs get Rashee Rice back, and all of a sudden they just look like the best team in the NFL. 31-0. They just completely wiped the floors with the Raiders. I don't understand what's happened. The Raiders have just continuously gotten worse as the season has went on. You can't even say that they've gotten better at anything because everything looks like they've just completely digressed. You had a couple games where Genty was starting to get things rolling. You felt like, nah, not so much. He's back to this abysmal 6 carries for 21 yards for an entire game. That's it. That's all he had for this whole game. I don't understand how Ashton Genty, one of the top backs that you draft, only gets 6 touches. Regardless if you're losing in this game. How does he only get 6 touches on the ground? It doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense. It might even explain why you're a 2-5 team right now. Got to do better. Got to do better. Let's touch on my man Mahomes here. 26-35, 286, 3 touchdowns. And yes, I am a Patrick Mahomes fan, okay? Been a Patrick Mahomes fan since he was at Texas Tech. And if you don't watch college football, get off my back. I've watched the guy since he was in college, okay? I've watched a lot of these NFL guys play. From their college days to their NFL days. Some of these guys, I didn't even anticipate being as good as they are in the league that are the star players. But they're stars now. Still a weird running game for the Chiefs. They don't have anyone that gets the main amount of the majority of the carries. But this time, Brashard Smith stepped up and he took the second workload here. Isaiah Pacheco had 15 for 57, and Brashard Smith had 14 for 39, which Brashard Smith is a gadget back, I'd like to say. He's a running back that catches the ball out of the backfield. He's real shifty. Not a guy that's going to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game, but he's going to get that 10 to 15 touches, and he might have 5 catches a game. So somewhat, not exactly Christian McCaffrey-like, but he's one of those guys that I think you can bring in and use in spurts like that. Like a bigger version of Darren Sproles, I guess you should say. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they get Rashee Rice back, and of course he leads the team in catches, 7 catches, 42 yards, and then Travis Kelce, 3 for 54. And hey, look at that. Brashard Smith, 5 catches for 42 yards. So hey, exactly what I said. I hadn't even looked down at those receiving stats yet, but that's what Brashard Smith is going to bring, and eventually I think he might start to take reps away from some guys here. Kareem Hunt clearly lost some playing time. I went Chiefs on this one, 31-0. They were a minus 10.5 favorite, and I didn't pick too many plus 10 favorites, or favorites by more than 10 points. Philadelphia at Minnesota. I went with Minnesota plus 2.5. I mean, I ultimately thought Philadelphia would win this, but I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. Minnesota, the problem is they get into the red zone and they're kicking field goals while the Eagles are scoring points. And that is always going to be a deciding factor. And in a couple games here, we'll talk about how kicking extra points is a huge factor. Minnesota, with Carson Wentz, gets these wild games where he's always got to come back for some reason. And he does. He comes back super fierce. He's a very wild player up until the fourth quarter. He seems to clean up his act somehow. I don't know how he does it, but he comes in like a wild man possessed, doing all these crazy Carson Wentz things that quarterbacks don't do. And what I mean, he works the pocket like crazy. I'm sorry, I just got a Max Crosby update, which I think it looks like he's not going anywhere. Jalen Hurts, though, played a perfect game. He hasn't done this, didn't expect it. I didn't play A.J. Brown in fantasy because of this, because all I see is A.J. Brown being a problem. Whether he wants to admit it or not, A.J. Brown making people read between the lines could slightly be a distraction, in my opinion. Devontae Smith, you don't hear anything from him. He could be a number 1 receiver. Jalen Hurts, 19 to 23, 326, and 3 touchdowns. He averaged 14.2 yards a pass completion. That is ridiculous. Super efficient. 158.3 quarterback rating. That is perfect. Cannot get any better than that. Saquon Barkley is struggling on the ground. He's not having a very good season. Matter of fact, I think he's on track to be under 1,000 yards if he continues to average what he is through 17 games, which is insane because he ran for 2,000 yards last year. 2,000 yards, to the point to where you knew he was going to run the ball. I knew he was going to run the ball. Everybody in the world knew he was going to run the ball, and you couldn't stop him. You could not stop the Eagles running the ball. Now they can't run the ball at all. I mean, it's just enough to make the passing game somewhat efficient. But Jalen Hurts carried him. I think the Vikings sold out for the run and completely forgot about the pass. Devontae Smith, 9 catches for 183 yards. A.J. Brown, 4 for 121. So, hey, he had a really good game, had 2 touchdowns, but I'm sure he would like to have like 6 or 7 catches. But hey, Dallas Goedert has been the catching machine most of the season. This time the receivers actually pick up a lot of the slack for Jalen Hurts. I think this is going to allow this offense to pick up down the road now. And I'll be playing A.J. Brown in my fantasy, okay? Carson Wentz stats. 26 of 42, 313 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and Jordan Mason, 15 carries, 57 yards. So because the Vikings were down in this game and the Eagles were scoring touchdowns, you just had to continue to throw the ball. Wentz only got sacked 2 times, but the 2 interceptions ultimately were the big difference in this game. Jordan Addison, the main targeted man, 9 catches for 128 yards. Justin Jefferson, 5 for 79. I anticipate Jordan Addison to be able to get more targets, especially with Justin Jefferson being back healthy this year. Jordan Addison's finally gotten back from his suspension. But Jordan Addison hasn't always been consistent as that number 2 guy. Heck, Adam Thielen's even there, but he only got 1 catch for 10 yards. So Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, if Jordan Addison can continue to be consistent, I think they are going to have a phenomenal duo. I mean, it's bound to happen because Jordan Addison is just a really good receiver. I mean, he runs excellent routes. The Vikings can figure out their quarterback position and where they actually stand, as in who's going to be the starter for long term. I think you can get some more consistency. From your receivers that way. If you don't, it's going to be tough to stay on the same page with your guys here. 28-22, Eagles win that. I lose that spread pick there. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers at the Jets. Hey, this one's going to be short and sweet. Not much to say. Panthers win this game. Jets are terrible. I mean, anybody that plays the Jets right now, I'm going to pick against them every single time. It's the only win I've gotten with the Dolphins, okay? Plain and simple. Bryce Young, 15-25, 138, 1 touchdown. So, Bryce Young, since they have a running game, he is not going to be put in a position to have to throw the ball 30 times. He just doesn't have to do it. He threw it 15-25. Yeah, Dalton came in and threw it 7 times, okay? It is 32 total. But if Bryce Young is still in the game, I still don't think he throws it 30 times. I think those carries probably go up to like 40 instead of 36 team carries. And that is just my opinion. I don't think that this Panthers team sits back and thinks, man, we've got Bryce Young. I feel 100% confident that we're just going to go out there and sling this ball. I guarantee they just don't have that confidence. I guarantee that they have the confidence if we need to, maybe 1 or 2 times, we can dial some things up, but week in and week out, it's not the ideal game plan with Bryce Young as your quarterback. With 36 carries for 125 yards team total, and yes, Rico and Chuba did split the carries, but Rico got 3 more carries, and he averaged double the amount of yards here. 4.6 average to the Chuba Hubbard 2.2. I think Rico runs better in this offense than Chuba does. Well, at least right now, it is showing that way because the long for each is 13 for Rico and 11 for Chuba. So, Panthers have a good running game. They're going to continue to rely on that. And, of course, we go over here to sorry-ass Justin Fields, 6 of 12, 46 yards, sacked 3 times. Tyrod Taylor comes in 10 of 22, 126 yards, so 4 more completions and 80 more yards passing. Isn't it incredible? He did get intercepted 2 times, no touchdowns, and he was also sacked 3 times. Nothing you can say about this Jets team looks pretty at all. I think now having Tyrod Taylor as a starter, you're probably going to be less one-dimensional in your running game aspect, as in your quarterback's not going to be the guy that's running majority of the time. I think Breece Hall is going to start to see those carries. And carries that he should be seeing. And also Isaiah Davis should see his carries increase unless quarterback runs. I don't care for quarterback runs if he's not a good passer. It just doesn't make sense because typically your second-string quarterback is not getting much practice with the first team. Man, Jets are terrible. 13-6, Panthers win. So do I on the picks here. Moving on. Wow, this game was a thriller. New York Giants at the Denver Broncos. If you're just watching these other games because you don't pay for Sunday ticket, which, hey, that is okay. Don't be like, hey, I ain't even paying all that money. I don't, okay? The New York Giants had this game in a bag. They were up 19-0. I mean, had this game all the way in the bag up until 14 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And that was mainly because the Denver Broncos had drove down the third into the end of the third quarter, and we're pretty much right there to score in the first play of the fourth. Or first couple of plays of the fourth quarter. I picked Denver minus 7.5, mainly because I just thought Denver was going to get after rookie quarterback Jackson Dart. That did not happen at all. As a matter of fact, Jackson Dart got after the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos could not find an answer for Jackson Dart. Matter of fact, Jackson Dart was just slinging this ball around with absolutely no problems. And there was a defensive player for the Broncos that was running his mouth a little bit that, they've dealt with other running quarterbacks before, and we've handled them pretty well. We're going to do the same with Jackson Dart. Well, he goes 15 to 33, which completion percentage, not quite there, but 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And he didn't carry the ball as many times or for as many yards as he typically does. He had 5 carries for 11 yards, but man, scattaboo, scatterboom. 16 carries for 60 yards. And Wandell is pretty much the only receiver that you can rely on. 6 catches, 95 yards. And he tries to get the ball to Lil Jordan Humphrey, but they just don't connect. It's typically deep balls, and they're typically contested. Theo Johnson, though, right place, right time, has a ridiculous tipped ball caught, ran in for a touchdown. And you're thinking, man, the Giants got this in the bag. They got this in the bag. Not so fast. Not so fast. Denver just comes storming right back after a late touchdown by the Giants. And the deciding factor in this game is the missed field goals, or PATs, by the Giants. And when I say deciding factor, there was 2 missed. One makes it to where Denver ties the game and you go to overtime. The one before that, Denver has to score a touchdown or they lose. You don't even have that opportunity because of the missed PATs. And I haven't talked about this, but I think moving the field goal back to where it's at for a 33-yard extra point was great. I think it was great. Why? I think kickers kicking from the 33 have to get a little bit different trajectory to get the ball to go farther distance, so they're not getting under it as much, where typically if you're at the 2-yard line, kicking like an 18-yard extra point attempt or 19-yard extra point attempt, and you can just kick it high and up, or it's hard to get blocked. Not anymore. How many blocked kicks have we had this year? I mean, I'm sure it's over 10. It's probably closer to 15 on the year. So special teams is getting better in all categories. Kickers are kicking farther. Special teams are blocking more punts and field goals. I mean, not as many punts, but field goals are ridiculous right now. There was one week where I think there was 5 blocked in a week. It could be more, it could be less, but it was more than 3. Insane game. Broncos come all the way back, score all 33 points in the fourth quarter. Makes no sense how that happens. So the fourth quarter scoring was 33 to 13. Giants scored in every quarter, but the 2 missed extra points. 3 missed extra points. You want to get down to it. You just can't have it. You can't have it. 49ers kicker lost his job because of that, but now he's back in Chicago and looks like he's got his confidence back. Giants lose 32-33 to the Denver Broncos, and Denver is proving to be a pretty good team per usual. 5-2. Indianapolis Colts at the Los Angeles Chargers. I picked Indianapolis Colts plus 1.5. I just think they're a very, very good team. And because the Chargers are at home, they got the minus 1.5 favorite. I didn't think that was the right choice, though, by Vegas odds. I think they probably should have flipped that. Well, they didn't. So I went plus 1.5. Indianapolis Colts just absolutely rattled the Chargers, and the Chargers from the beginning of the game, pretty much all the way to the end, were just playing comeback. You know, 6-3 at the end of the first, then it's 23-3 at the halftime, and then you have a 15-14 third quarter. And it's tough. It's tough when now you're just sitting back there and you're having to throw it every single down. And Daniel Jones is just a guy. Indiana Jones, 23-34, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. Super efficient. Shane Steichen has just got him rolling. I think they've just been a perfect match, and wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Jones more than likely re-signs in Indianapolis. I just don't see where else he'd fit in right now. Unless he wants to go back to the Jets, or the Giants. Sorry. If he wants to go to the Jets, which is the same place as where the Giants are at. You know, so you don't know. Could just be a bad atmosphere. Jonathan Taylor. Wow. Top running back in the league. Top running back in the league, along with Bijan Robinson. So 1-2 punch for me. These are the top 2 backs. Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson. Take it or leave it. They're the 2. No big name receiver for the Colts. I mean, Tyler Warren, rookie tight end. He's playing like the best tight end right now in the NFL. I mean, him and Trey McBride probably right now 2 of the best pass catching tight ends right now, I would say. And hey, Tyler Warren's a rookie, but he has literally performed every single week, regardless of who the opponent has been, and that is impressive by a rookie. Justin Herbert, though, the 2 interceptions, that's what set him back, and the 55 pass attempts. I talked about Dylan Gabriel having 55 pass attempts and 220 yards. Well, this man had 200 more yards, all right? So that's why I thought it was absolutely crazy that Dylan Gabriel threw it 50 times as a rookie. Come on. He doesn't deserve to. But being down so early, the Chargers don't have a running game, 16 carries for 54 yards. Typically, that just handicaps you, and that's what we saw in this game. And Indianapolis Colts are a team that don't let them handicap you. They are way too good right now. Way too good. And they're good with a running game and a passing game, okay? I don't think there's been a week yet that they've been shut down completely in one category. It's incredible. But, hey, Justin Herbert is playing very well. He has definitely proven me wrong and right all at the same time. But he's played better consistently this year, I think. Washington at Dallas. So I did win the Colts one. I went plus 1.5. But moving on now. Washington the Commanders at Dallas Cowboys. I went Dallas plus 2.5 because, hey, my other half's a Cowboys fan. But I ultimately thought Dallas was going to win this game. Dak Prescott's just playing at a high level. I mean, believe it or not, Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in this league right now. This season, right now, top 10 quarterback. Dallas is going to have a chance if he can continue to play like that, but the defense has to just continue to get better. They played a hell of a game against the Commanders, but the one takeaway, everybody's saying that, yeah, Dallas played more man defense this time, and it looked better, right? Yeah, okay, great. Well, Terry McLaurin wasn't out there. Deebo Samuel wasn't out there. They didn't have their top receivers out there. So, yes, playing the man coverage is probably a great game plan going into this game because you knew your guys on the edge are better than these guys that are playing. So, really good, really, really good coaching by the Cowboys to have that game plan. But you're going to have a better opponent coming in this next week. And now you're going to see is that man defense still going to work? Trayvon Diggs didn't play, but Bryant had a pick 6. Washington, though, Jaden Daniels being hurt again. Hey, Jaden Daniels is not injury prone right now. He's not somebody that you're going to have to worry about being injured all the time. Okay? He's been injured twice this year, but that's because he's having to try to do a lot for his team. I think if they can get this running game going and be more consistent, like Bill Krosky Merritt, he's a good running back. He's going to be good for him. But you can't just have this wild game plan of let's run. Oh, no, we need Jaden Daniels to pass it, but you're just stuck. You just got this wonky game plan. I think Jaden Daniels' second year, sophomore slump may have a little something to do with it. Not a huge factor, but a little something to do with how teams are playing the Commanders right now. Something to consider why the Commanders' offense is up and down right now. It's always a factor, and we're seeing that with Michael Penix too. And Michael Penix hasn't even gotten through 2 full seasons, so that's going to be something to monitor and check out as this season continues to go on. As you can I still cannot figure out how I want to talk into this mic half the time because it's just directional right here. So maybe I'll turn it next time. I don't know. You'll see the mic in different positions until I can figure out how I like it with this mic stand. But it is definitely much better, not directly in front of me. Colts dominate Chargers 38-24. I already did that one, looking down at the ESPN app instead of my spreadsheet here. Sorry, let me jump back to Dallas. Dallas's offense has been good. It's just the defense right now. So if defense can pick it up, Dallas is going to be a team. It's going to be between them and the Eagles until Washington can get more consistent. I don't really see them being too much of a factor in this division. And the Giants with Jackson Dart, if they get hot, and I mean hot to where they're on a winning streak and they really start pushing the division because they beat the Eagles, and they're going to play them again this week. So if they beat them again, it's going to really shake up that division in the NFC with the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles and Commanders. Let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, I went Dallas plus 2.5, so I won that one too. Green Bay Packers at the Arizona Cardinals. I talk so much shit about Kyler Murray. And guess what? Kyler Murray didn't even play. With that being said, I'm going to make a point here. All right. Jacoby Brissett played for the Arizona Cardinals. Picked the Green Bay Packers to win -6.5, so they had to win by 7. They won by 4. I thought the Green Bay Packers were just going to walk the dogs on the Arizona Cardinals because Kyler Murray's at quarterback. Well, they didn't walk the dogs on the Cardinals. You know why? Because a efficient veteran quarterback was in the game, and Jacoby Brissett. 6 sacks, though, he took. Even though he got sacked 6 times, he didn't lose this game for the Cardinals. He didn't even turn the ball over, besides one time and fumble. It always gets me every time I scroll down. 25 of 36 for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray's not doing that. He's simply not doing that because Jacoby Brissett played so well. The Cardinals had a chance to win this game. The Packers scored late and won. Trey McBride had 10 catches for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. I hadn't watched the highlights yet on this, but I guarantee a lot of these passes that Trey McBride caught, maybe half of them are going to be over the middle of the field, which he doesn't typically catch them when Kyler Murray's in the game because he can't see them. And Marvin Harrison only had 2 catches for 58 yards, but he is spreading the ball around. Jacoby Brissett, probably best case scenario, and at any time when he's on the field, is going to be able to get out there, have a pre-snap read, and know and predetermine typically where he's going to go with the ball. I guarantee it. Kyler Murray, maybe he does, but once the play develops, can he see them, and does he trust it? I don't think he does sometimes. A lot of the time. Jacoby Brissett is a veteran in this league, and for the most part, he probably knows things in and out a lot better than Kyler Murray does, even though Kyler Murray's the starter when he's healthy. But Jacoby Brissett, Kyler Murray's in this game. I think the Packers really get after the Cardinals here, but they didn't because Jacoby played. And this guy, Jordan Love, I don't know about him. I don't know. He got paid like he's a top quarterback, but he's not. He's very up and down. I mean, he was 19 of 29 for 179 yards and a touchdown, that's very efficient. Didn't turn the ball over. But he had games in his first year as a starter, which is really like his 3rd or 4th year, where he was just making these wow throws like, wow, that was a great throw. He's not doing those anymore now. And sometimes you get to where some of these plays that are called and the throws that he tries to make, and you're like, where are you throwing that at? Do you really think you had a chance? But hey, he says it's part of his game. So him not turning the ball over is the key. The Packers won because of that. But Josh Jacobs isn't getting the carries that I think that he should be having. He was a workhorse last year for him, but he only had 13 carries for 55 yards in this game. Not many carries at all. For a team, they were 23 for 94. So not bad as a team, but just kind of got stymied there. And I think the Cardinals did a really good job at holding the ball. Matter of fact, they almost had 10 minutes more ball control possession. 34-10 to 25-50. So that was a deciding factor, and they had almost 100 yards more of offense, 330 to 262. So the Cardinals absolutely just played their ass off against the Packers, and they proved me wrong. And if I would have paid attention and known that Jacoby Brissett was playing, I probably would have went plus 6.5 just because. But I was all set on Kyler Murray, and you can watch the last episode and find out that I was. Green Bay 27, Arizona 23. Didn't get too much into the stats, typically because there really wasn't too much to be happy about. Romeo Doubs 6 for 72. Tucker Kraft 5 for 58, and Matthew Golden 4 for 37. And I believe he had like 3 catches for 20 yards or like 29 yards early in the game, and he didn't have another catch for like the entire game. So really weird passing attack from the Packers. You would think getting Matthew Golden to stretch the field, and Christian Watson will be back soon. Maybe the passing game comes back to life, but right now it is just a dud, and so is this Packers offense, it feels like. Packers 27, Arizona 23. Atlanta at San Fran. I went Atlanta plus 3.5. Was not sure who was going to be playing for San Francisco. Ended up being Mac Jones getting another start. And Christian McCaffrey. That Achilles is not bothering him at all. He is getting back to his old self, and that offensive line is blocking like it. And I think the 49ers, as a team, if they have a quarterback back there that they trust and that they know can run the offense, I think they all increase their confidence and instantly play better. Believe it or not, I just think they all have a different mindset when they're on the field playing. Michael Penix, just a weird game for him. 21 of 38, 241 yards, sacked 2 times, 1 touchdown. Bijan Robinson, 14 carries for 40 yards. The problem with this game was San Francisco had some long drives, and they did a good job at just controlling that clock there. Kyle Pitts was the leading receiver, 7 catches for 62 yards. Darnell Mooney had 3 for 68. And you would think old Drake London would have been a big target picking up from his previous week. Not the case. 49ers, Robert Saleh coached an incredible game. I mean, not many coordinators can do what he did with the amount of backups that he had out there on the field. And he had a backup calling the plays defensively. Props to you, Robert Saleh. You're an elite defensive coordinator, and I think that you do your best work there. And I think that's probably where you should stay for the time being. Mac Jones, just an efficient game. Still had the 1 turnover, 17 of 26, 152 yards, no touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 24 carries, 129, 2 touchdowns. Just an absolute dog, just picking right back up from the Christian McCaffrey you know from years past. And 7 catches for 72 yards. Insane work by the San Francisco 49ers. 20-10. Atlanta gets me on that one. I picked them plus 3.5. All right, we're going to do these last 2 games here rather quickly. Much longer episode when I do reviews because I get the stats out and I just start talking a bunch of shit. All right, so had a double header, Tampa Bay at Detroit. I really thought Baker Mayfield was going to just pick right up where he left off. Well, not so fast. You know, I would think Emeka Egbuka playing, Mike Evans being back, Tez Johnson, Cade Otton. I mean, man, you've really got a pretty solid starting receiving core. You're still missing a receiver in McMillan. But I'm just thinking, man, you got these guys back. Baker is going to be cooking. Baker is going to be lighting things up. Nah, not the case. Lions come out, punched them right in the mouth, and it was almost crazy how many punch outs the Lions had. The amount of fumbles in this game that the Lions could have had and the ones that they did get was just ridiculous. They do a really good job on defensive, being aggressive with these punch out tackles, and it is proving to be a big factor. Baker Mayfield went 28 of 50, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 4 times. And they had to get away from the running game because the Lions dominated this game. And of course, they had these long drives, really had long drives. And Tampa Bay was moving the ball, but not scoring points. Moving the ball, not scoring points, which is a deciding factor. The 164 rushing yards by the Lions compared to the 41 by the Bucs. That was a deciding factor. Jared Goff didn't play a good game at all. He was 20 of 29, 241, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, yeah, the stats sound great. But if you were watching the game, Jared Goff was off of his game for the most part. His incompletions didn't look the greatest. I mean, he looked like he was super flustered with some of the pressures. 4 sacks. Jahmyr Gibbs, 17 carries for 136 yards. Wow, had that long 78-yard run. He is fast. Jahmyr Gibbs is fast. And him and David Montgomery pretty much split the carries, but Jahmyr Gibbs is that home run hitter. And he proved that once again. And of course, Armand St. Brown, man, he's a top 10 receiver in this league. At some point in time, maybe at the end of the season, I'll do the top receivers, running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks, defenses. It'll be a great postseason type shows to do. But right now I'm going to try to just stick to the simple fact that Armondre Brown is a damn good receiver, and he showed it. 6 for 86 and a touchdown. I thought this man was going to have a 10-catch, 100-plus yard game. The way it started, he was on a roll. The unfortunate part about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I just want to mention this also as well, Mike Evans going down, broken collarbone. I just want to say this real quick about that whole situation. Mike Evans last night went to catch a ball, and he hit the ground and lost control of the ball. It was incomplete. In the process of that, it looked like his head hit the ground. And it looked like he lost consciousness by how his body rolled across the ground. Or slid across the ground, a combination of both. I knew instantly that he got knocked out. Unconscious, concussed, and that he was not there. No one on television wanted to even mention a head injury that, hey, his head hit off the ground. Which I just found very confusing. They must be told not to mention. It looks like he knocked himself out with his head hitting the ground. They didn't mention that not one time. As a matter of fact, they were trying to figure out what it could have been and what caused him to fumble the ball or let go of possession of the ball, because he had it. Makes no sense. You, me, and everybody watching knew how his body was laying and how his leg was. It was actually kind of locked out and stiff, that he was knocked out. He had a concussion. And when he sat up, he didn't even look like he was awake, and they sat him up. And I could not believe. Like, why are they trying to get him up right now? Let him stay there. If anything, bring the card out. But maybe they didn't want to bring the card out because another extent of, hey, a head injury. So, super confusing. I'm thinking the NFL does not want these commentators to talk about or even mention head injuries or any type of head trauma related to football. But it happens. Multiple times, Sunday and Monday, did we see players bounce their head off the ground. Heck, the Texans receiver last night, Nico Collins, went to go catch a ball, bounced his head off the ground, and was just holding his head there. And Louis Riddick goes, oh, yeah, you can see his head just slam off the turf. What's wrong with that? Why couldn't Troy Aikman and Joe Buck say, oh, yeah, you can see his head hit the turf there. This could be bad for Mike Evans. You don't even have to say a head injury, but that would indicate we know what you're talking about. But no, everybody wants to be completely oblivious to it. I made a Facebook post about it, and sure enough, other people started making posts about it as well on social media. So a lot of weird things with how the NFL handles that. It's part of the game. Just say it, in my opinion. All right, there's my quick rant. Last game, Houston at Seattle. Hey, I've been saying it this whole season. I don't think C.J. Stroud is the guy. Now, I just mean that right now. From what I've saw this year, C.J. Stroud is super inconsistent. He is not doing anything that makes me believe or think that he is going to sit back there and win you games at all. And that is as simple as I can say it. And you hear me say that a lot. What I think, what I don't think, but it's all my opinion, okay? C.J. Stroud doesn't have a good receiving core to begin with. Nico Collins is his guy, but Nico Collins is also just a deep ball receiver. I mean, he does run fairly good routes. He does have, 7-8 catch games, but typically they're on deeper routes. He's not running these 5 to 10 yard slants and breaking routes. That's just not his thing. He's a 6'4" receiver. He's going to get one-on-one matchups, and he wants to be down the field. That's where things work for him. It's showing right now. Him not having receivers that can get separation. C.J. Stroud is just, he's not throwing perfect balls every time, and it's affecting outcomes of the game. Teams are getting after Stroud, and he gets super antsy with the pressure. And who doesn't, okay? It's a known thing. You get pressure on a quarterback, you will get them off their sweet spot, and they won't be efficient. Time in and time out, it's a proven thing in this league. Houston got a lot of work to do. Past 2 seasons have been a playoff contender. Not looking so good right now. On the other hand, Seattle has proven they've got a very good defense. And Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba, this is a very scary quarterback receiver tandem. Beware, because Jackson Smith and Jigba is probably going to be talked about as one of the best receivers in the league this year. And we're going to start categorizing receivers based on what they're doing this year in certain instances, because it makes sense. Jackson Smith and Jigba right now, in my opinion, I think he is putting on the best consistent week-to-week performance for a number one receiver. And Sam Darnold continues to look for this guy every single time. Every single time. Matter of fact, let me bring it up real quick. So Jackson Smith and Jigba in this game. Well, ESPN wants to take a break right now. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, yeah. You want to shit the bed. Shit the bed on me. Super slow. It's probably because I've just had this screen open for so long. Anyways, not meant to be. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I believe he had 8 catches for 120, 118 yards. Great route runner, has a speed. He can do it all. And that's the difference in him. He runs all the routes. Him and Jamar Chase, 1 and 2 in this league, in my opinion, right now, along with Justin Jefferson. So there we have it. So very long episode today. A lot of things going on in the league. Of course, this week, Miami Dolphins once again shit the bed, completely aggravate me, and just not a very good season for them. But what I am enjoying is getting to do this podcast every single week at my own will. I think it's probably the best thing I could have done because I've been wanting to do it for so long, and I'm just glad I'm finally putting out the content. And I don't really have a great time frame on how long all the episodes are going to be. As you can tell, I'm like over an hour on this one. But maybe I'll start dialing them in a little bit better, have some better time management skills in this. So there we have it. I went 8-7 this week for NFL picks against the spread for week 7. And I continue to be on this average trend here where I'm breaking about 500 on my picks. The 2 teams on a bye this week were Buffalo and Baltimore. So I believe the Rams and Seattle are on a bye this week. And I'll have a week 8 picks probably tomorrow or Thursday, day of game. But we'll see how that goes. I'm getting this one up early so I can maybe get into a better trend of when these actually get posted. So thank you all for listening. It is my pleasure doing this. It's fun, and I'm going to continue to do it no matter what. Thank you all for listening. I'm Tyler Clemmons. Later.